Now we will discuss the normal thrust and radial shear. In the earth system, there are many forces are acting. Okay, one force is along the axis of the arch, another force is parallel to the cross-sectional plane of the arch. Okay, and many other forces will be acting. There are bending moment is there, shear force is there, torsional force is there. So that force we will analyze. Suppose A, C, B is a arch, okay, either 2 hinge or 3 hinge, whatever. We will find out what is the normal thrust and radial shear in the arch. Normal thrust means on a plane the force is acting at right angle, that force is called normal force and the thrust will be called normal thrust. And the radial shear means which is parallel to the cross section, this S force is parallel to this cross section, so this is shear. This force is trying to shear this cross section, that's why it is called shear force. And as this is a curved girder, so we are calling radial shear. Okay, so come to the point. An arch either 2 hinge or 3 hinged subjected to an external load system shown in the figure. Okay, consider any section D. At any section D, if you imagine at that point what are the forces will be acting, that we will calculate. Consider at any section D, consider the equilibrium of the part AD of each arch of the arch. Okay, so each and every part will be under equilibrium condition. As each and every part will be under equilibrium condition, so separately they will be in equilibrium condition both in horizontally and vertically. So if you cut this AD portion or DC portion or CB portion or DB portion, whatever you cut horizontally and vertically, those portion will be under equilibrium condition. So AD portion I am considering, so in this AD portion this part will be in equilibrium condition. Okay, so in this equilibrium, in this part, what are the forces are acting, we will calculate. First force is acting VA, that is vertically upward direction, and HA, that is horizontal direction. Okay, so at A point VA is working vertically and H is working horizontally. Next force is external load, that is W1 is working at any point, maybe at this point, this point, this point, at any point external load is working. Then reacting force VD and HD is acting to counteract this VA and H. At this point, if you cut this portion here, you will see due to this vertical force, an equal and opposite amount of vertical force will be acting here to be in equilibrium condition vertically, equal and opposite amount of horizontal force to be acting here to counteract this horizontal force. So and HD and VD will be acting at D point to counteract this VA and H. Okay, next is bending moment at D point. Due to the external load system, what will be the bending moment? That bending moment will be acting at D point. So these 4 type of forces will be acting in this part. So we will calculate and we will consider these 4 types of forces. What are the effects, what are the consequences, and what are the total force component in parallel to this cross section, perpendicular to this cross section, we will calculate. Resolving these forces on the part AD vertically and horizontally, we can determine the vertical and horizontal reactions or reacting forces VD and HD at D point. Okay, so let's repeat. VA and H is acting at A point, external load is acting at any point, the counter force to be in equilibrium vertically and horizontally, and VD and HD will be acting and fourth one is bending moment due to the external load. These four type of force or reacting components is acting in this part AD. Okay. Now at this AD point I will draw a tangent. This is the tangent at AD point. Okay. So if I draw the tangent at AD point, I have drawn this part, and tangent part, what are the forces is acting at this AD point, I have drawn it here. This is the tangent, at D point, this is D point. Okay. So HD is acting, HD is the horizontal thrust, will be acting horizontally. So I have drawn this force. So I have drawn this force horizontally. Okay. So horizontally this HD is working. So if this HD is working horizontally on this plane, so this plane will be subjected to a shear force and normal force. So this force will have two component. One is perpendicular on the plane and another is parallel to the plane. So what will be the perpendicular component, what will be the parallel component, we will find out. So HD is acting at D point. I have drawn a normal at D point and HD is acting at D point horizontally. Okay. So if you extend this HD up to this, so HD is inclined with the normal at angle theta. If this angle is theta, this angle will also be theta. So we have to find out what is the perpendicular component and what is the parallel component of HD. Okay. So I have told you several times the base component will be cos component. Suppose in this triangle this is theta, this side is contacted with the theta angle, so this will be base and this will be altitude and this will be hypotenuse. Okay. So here this side is attached with the theta, so this will be base component and this side of the triangle is attached with the, is not attached, so this will be altitude component. So base component will be cos component and altitude component will be sine component. This HD will have two component, one is cos component, another is sine component. The side which is attached with the theta, that side will be cos component and the other component will be sine component. So with this theta, this is base, so this will be cos component, so this will be HD cos theta, and this is altitude, so this altitude component will be HD sin theta. Clear? So HD, I have two component, one is HD cos theta, another is HD sin theta. Come to this part. Horizontal thrust, I have two component. Similarly vertical force also will have two component, one is perpendicular to this plane, one is perpendicular to this plane, another is parallel to this plane. So what are the two components will be acting on this D point, I will calculate. See here, VD is working at angle theta with this plane. This is the parallel to this cross section. Okay, this plane is the parallel to this cross section. So this, with this cross section, VD is inclined at angle theta. Okay, so this will be the base component and this will be the altitude. So base component will be always cos component, so this component will be VD cos theta, and this component is altitude, so this component will be sine component. So this is means this component will be VD sine theta. Okay, so I have the Vd into two component, one is cos component, another is sine component. This force is working in this point. Okay, so in this point it will have two component, one is parallel to this cross section, another is perpendicular to this cross section. So this component is cos component, as this component is inclined at angle theta, so this will be Vd cos theta and this will be Vd sin theta. Okay, now let's add these components. Here this sine component is acting upward and this cos component or the normal component, this normal component is acting in this direction, and here the normal component is acting in this direction. So this direction and this direction is same. So normal thrust will be Hd cos theta plus Vd sin theta. So I can write normal thrust equals to Hd sin theta plus Vd cos theta, as they are acting in same direction. It is acting in this direction, it is acting also in this direction. But in case of radial shear, it is acting in this direction, but it is acting downward direction. So the net force will be, the net shear force will be Hd sin theta minus Vd cos theta. So I can write it here. The radial shear is Hd sin theta minus Vd cos theta, right? So I have determined normal thrust equals to Hd sin theta plus Vd cos theta, and radial shear equals to Hd sin theta minus Vd cos theta. Okay, so normal thrust is acting normally or at perpendicular direction on this cross section of the arch, and radial shear is acting parallel to this cross sectional plane of the arch. Radial shear is acting parallel with the cross sectional plane of the arch. Okay, so during the calculation of, so here we have found out normal thrust equals to Hd cos theta plus Vd sin theta, and radial shear equals to Hd sin theta minus Vd cos theta. Okay, so during the calculation of radial shear, normal thrust and radial shear, first you find out what are the component of Hd, and then you find out the component of Vd. Okay, so let's start the rib shortening. So as the arch structures are subjected to many compressive force, in the previous slide you have seen this is compressive force, this is compressive force. So normal thrust is due to the normal thrust, mainly due to the normal thrust, Hd cos theta plus Vd sin theta is trying to compress this length, is trying to compress the length of the arch. So the length of the arch may decrease due to this compression, due to this normal thrust. So what is the effect of normal thrust, we will discuss in this slide. Rib shortening. Rib shortening means the length of the arch will shorten due to the huge amount of normal thrust. Okay, the normal thrust is acting in this direction. The normal thrust is acting in this direction, so it is trying to compress this length. Due to this compression the length of the arch may decrease. Okay, so what will be the decrement, we will consider in not only this normal thrust but also bending moment, shear force also will try to deform the length of the arch. So due to this bending moment, shear force and normal thrust, the length of the arch may decrease. Okay, the normal thrust causes a shortening. Okay, we know any section of the arch is subjected to a bending moment, shear force, normal thrust, etc. Due to this normal thrust, the length of the arch may decreases, or the length of the arch decreases. Okay, consider any section X of the two hinged arch shown in the figure. Okay, if you see the figure, it will have VA and VB, two reaction force, and H is the rise of the arch, L is the span of the arch, HA and H also acting to support as horizontal thrust. At any cross section X, if you draw a tangent and that tangent is inclined with the horizontal plane at angle alpha, okay, at this point we will consider what are the forces is acting, what is the bending moment, and after that what is the normal thrust we will calculate. Let's assume mx, that is the bending moment at cross section X, the net bending moment total considering everything, that net bending moment at cross section X is mx, okay. Shear force V at that point due to the external load and other things, due to the external load, and normal thrust N on the cross section, at the cross section normal thrust is N, okay. But we know the net bending moment will be the beam bending moment minus Hy. I always told you in the previous classes that if you see an arch structure, this is an arch structure, it is subjected to a horizontal thrust and it has rise small h. If you consider a beam structure, so what will be the bending moment? M. What is the similarity and dissimilarity between this arch and beam? We will see here. This beam and arch is similar, just it has one extra rise at the center and nothing else. As it has an extra rise at the center, so it is, as it has rise h at the center, it has less amount of bending moment, okay. So what is the less amount of bending moment? How it is subjected to less amount of bending moment? Because of this horizontal thrust, it is pushing inward direction and the bending moment will reduce at any cross section X, okay. So for a arch structure, I can tell that what will be the bending moment at any cross section. The bending moment at any cross section will be the bending moment of a beam structure minus h into y, okay, because this h is trying to push this arch in this direction and the lever arm is small h, so and at any point the lever arm is y. So if you want to calculate the bending moment at cross section X, what will be the bending moment? It will be similar of a beam structure. Suppose this is the bending moment M at cross section X. If you calculate the bending moment of a beam at any cross section X, that is M, and if you deduct H into the altitudes at this point is y, so if you deduct this M minus this h into y, you will get the bending moment of arch section. So in this way you can calculate the bending moment of an arch section, that means the beam bending moment minus h into y. So I can write here beam bending moment is M minus hy, that will be the net bending moment at cross section M, okay, where M is the bending moment at the section as in a simply supported beam. First you consider the bending moment as simply supported beam, then deduct hy, that will be the net bending moment at any cross section X. Here N is the hd cos theta plus vd sin theta, or N equals to h cos theta plus v sin theta, whatever you say. This expression we have already determined, that is normal thrust equals to h cos theta plus v sin theta. So this equation will be used in the next slide. So here the strain energy stored by the arch is given by W equals to integration m square ds by 2 ei plus integration n square ds by 2 ae, Okay, this part is due to bending moment and this part due to normal thrust. Okay, the bending moment we have determined m by m minus hy, and the normal thrust we have h cos theta plus v sin theta. Okay, so we have put this value from the Castigliano's theorem. We have learned that the total strain energy, if you do the total displacement or deflection, will be the partial differentiation coefficient of total strain energy. The total deflection will be the partial differentiation coefficient of total strain energy. That means if you do the del W del H, that will be the total deflection. So first let us calculate the total strain energy. Total strain energy will be how much? Integration m square ds by 2 ei due to the bending moment and plus integration n square ds by 2 ae due to the normal thrust or axial force. So let's put the value of m and n. We have m equals to mx equals to m minus hy and n equals to h cos theta plus v sin theta, right, or cos alpha plus v sin alpha. Now we have to do the derivative of this function, then we will integrate. First we will do the derivative, then we will integrate. So derivative of this term is like x square. So derivative of x square means 2x. So 2 into this function and that 2 and these 2 will be cancelled. Here 2 will come, this 2 will come. So these 2 and these 2 will be cancelled. So we have x square derivative is 2x, that 2 and these 2 will be cancelled, and derivative of this function is into minus y. Okay, so m minus hy into minus y ds by ei plus derivative of this function, it is also like 2x. So x square derivative is 2x, these 2 and these 2 will be cancelled. So again we have to do the derivative of this function. Okay, the derivative of this function is, this is constant, so derivative will be 0, and this is in this part, this is constant, so this part will come out as we are doing the derivative with respect to h. So this part will be constant, so this part will come out cos alpha into ds divided by a. So we have del w del h equals to integration m minus hy into minus y ds by ei plus v sin alpha plus h cos alpha ds divided by a. Okay, so we will multiply this term. Also here we will multiply this term. We will have 4 terms, 1 2 3 4. Okay, now we have this 4th term, and according to the Castigliano's theorem, the partial differentiation coefficient of total strain energy will be the deflection of any system. As the earth systems supports are unyielding, that means they cannot displaced from their initial position. If they cannot displaced from their initial position, that means deflection will be 0, and also deflection we know del w del h. So and also we know the deflection equals to del w del h. As the deflection is 0 at the support and deflection equals to del w del h, so we can write del w del h equals to 0. So I can put del w del h equals to 0. So I will write here, this is 1 term, this is 2 term, this is 3rd, this is 4th term. This all total sum of all total 4 terms will be 0. So here I write it, this plus this term plus this term will be 0, right? So I will keep this h term and this h term left hand side and this term in right hand side. Okay, I have h equals to, if I put it this, if I rearrange this 4 term in this way, so I can easily determine h equals to this minus this divided by this plus this. Now I will calculate this term. Okay, what is the value of this term? I will calculate. Here we know in the practical cases the cross sectional of the arch decreases towards the crown and increases towards the support, because towards the crown the bending moment decreases and towards the support the bending moment increases. So the cross section is minimum at the crown and maximum increases towards the support. The slope alpha is 0 at the crown and increases towards the support. If you see this figure, this is a random example. See, the alpha is gradually decreasing and it is 0 at crown. This is alpha. Alpha is increasing towards support and decreasing towards crown, and it is 0 at the crown. So if the alpha minimum at crown, then cos theta will be maximum at crown. Theta is minimum at crown, so cos theta will be maximum at crown, because cos 0 is 1 and cos 90 is 0. So at the crown cos theta will be maximum, at the support cos theta will be minimum. Let's assume a quantity a by cos alpha. Why I have taken this a by cos alpha? See here, I have this integration cos square alpha ds by ae. So I can write it here cos alpha ds by ae. Okay, now I will consider this term cos alpha by a, and I will reverse this term a by cos alpha. Okay, why I am considering this a by cos alpha, I will explain you. Let us discuss this term. A by cos alpha has minimum value at the crown, because at the crown cos alpha is maximum. If cos alpha is maximum, this term will be minimum. So at the crown this term will be minimum. So I can write a by cos alpha has a minimum value at the crown and increasing towards the support. Okay, so as the cross section of the arch decreases towards crown and increases towards support, we will consider an average cross section to simplify the calculation. So the average cross section of the arch is AM, the mean value of a by cos alpha, and putting ds cos alpha equals to dx. Okay, so we have the minimum we have the average cross section AM equals to a by cos alpha. This is the average cross section of the girder or arch girder throughout the span. Okay, so we have the quantity integration cos square alpha ds by ae. So I wrote it here cos alpha ds by a into e. Okay, a by cos alpha equals to am, so cos alpha by a equals to 1 by am, so I write it here 1 by am. E is there, so e will come here, and also the extra term is ds cos alpha. So I assume that ds cos alpha equals to dx, so I will put this cos alpha ds equals to dx. So I have put this dx. Okay, cos alpha ds equals to dx, so I will put cos alpha ds equals to dx. Okay, so integration dx divided by am e equals to this am e is constant, will come out, and integration of dx equals to L, because small, if you sum all the small part of the arch, you will get the total span of the arch. So summation of all small part of the arch will give the total span of the arch, that is L. So I have quantified integration cos square alpha ds by AE equals to L by AME. Okay, where L is the span of the arch. We also find out the effect of the V in the shortening the rib is ignorable. With the above simplification we get this expression. What I am doing in this expression, the effect of rib shortening is very negligible. Okay, effect of rib shortening is very negligible, so I can ignore this term. So I can ignore this term. Okay, so I'll only consider this term and this term. So I have H equals to integration my ds by ei divided by integration y square ds by ei plus L by AME, approximately equals to, you can write ei naught, initial moment of inertia. So I have determined what is the ultimate horizontal thrust after shortening the rib due to the normal thrust. When the normal thrust will be acting in the girder, what will be the change of normal thrust we have derived, and the final horizontal thrust will be integration my ds by ei divided by integration y square ds by ei plus L by AME. So in this way we can calculate the final horizontal thrust after effecting of normal thrust.